question.
There we go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to my channel. As you can see, I have Dr. Lena Rodriguez here with me. Dave may show up. We don't know. He's not feeling too well. So if he comes, he comes. If not, But welcome, Lena, back to my channel.
So thank you for asking me. It's great because we live in our little caves, so it's great when we connect. I love it.
Yes. And I do know that I get invited onto Hogarth's the Saturday night show that you guys have every so
Yeah,
often. I get to read with you then as well. So I hope
it's a
everybody.
fun show, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So we have a lot going on this evening. We have a lot of questions, a lot of different questions. But first, I wanted to give a shout out. November is a National Native Heritage Month. They get celebrated in November, so we recognize the culture, the history, and definitely check out anything that like the Native indigenous people what they make. You can buy, you can help them out, buying directly from them, not from a convenience store, but make sure that it's authenticated and to buy just their stuff that they make. So always make sure that you're doing your due diligence there. And of course, learn a native, or not native, sorry, learn a native language, like a word or something like that. It's always helpful to do that, or just really read about their heritage. So give them some honor there. So there's that. And Lena, give us a little synopsis of what goes on your channel for those that may not know. I don't know anybody that doesn't. You never know. There could be somebody accidentally in here going, "Who's
if
that?"
anyone doesn't know, I'm a loudmouth, cranky old auntie. I am a retired sociologist from Australia. So I bring what I hope is a sociology analysis to all the questions and politics that we talk about, as well as the tarot. So that's me.
Yes. And if you've ever watched a minute of Lena's videos on her channel, she will start cracking you up within 30 seconds. She has the cleverest way of putting things and such a great sense of humor, along with her readings, of course, that are just on point every time. I'm addicted. I don't know about anybody. I'm addicted.
Thanks, Sheila.
So anyways, okay, so are you ready for some questions? We're going to kind of go all over the place because I did outsource some questions that I received from viewers. So we do have a few of those, but there is one in the chat, a starred one that I thought was really fantastic. They kind of wonder, I guess because of that fire. I haven't heard about that the fire of the ballot. What happened?
I think it was in Arizona. Someone set fire to a ballot box and about 20 votes were damaged and some other mail.
Oh my gosh. I hope
it's not a big number, but the point is I think the police are treating it as arson, surely.
Maybe the reason why this question came about, where it says, will National Guard be at the ballot box? Ballots to continue, to stop the riots and all of that. That's like a double-edged sword because, what do you do? How do you protect them?
Yeah. Well, this is the problem. Terry Solaris says it was a postal box. I misunderstood. So it wasn't a dedicated ballot box. It was a postal box. But
Okay.
There were about 20 votes in the postal box, which probably should have been in a dedicated box. But anyway.
Well, if you have mail-in, you can put stamps on them and mail them in, or you can go to a designated box for that.
Yeah, the problem is the postal service is going to be inundated anyway, leading into Christmas, people buying presents. You've got Louis DeJoy at the top slowing everything down. I would not be putting a stamp on an envelope and hoping for the best.
Well, I have a post office that they have that big old huge box in front of the post office, and is direct from like the post office
into the post office.
Right at there. I don't put it at my box where I get my mail because I don't trust it from there to the post office, driving around town. I just don't. So I go direct to the post office. I always put 2 stamps on there. It probably only needs 1, but I put 2 just in case there's not going to be any. And then what we do here in Colorado is we get an email saying your ballot box has showed up. We will give you another email letting you know that everything was good to go and that it had been counted. So you wait, it got there, and then you wait for the second one, and you get the second one as proof that everything was okay. They checked it all out, the signature, and it has been counted.
And everyone should keep that record.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Keep that record.
Absolutely. So that we can, I do. I know I do, but I might be obsessed. So, anyways, what do you think about the National Guard or somebody trying to protect the ballot boxes, even though it looks? Does it sound? I don't think so. I don't think that there's going to be anybody posted there. If there's somebody posted there, that would be something that the GOP would do, and if that's nefarious, I would probably drive to if I saw somebody there, I would just drive to another post office box or go to.
Yeah, it's quite an intimidating image, regardless of who they're allegedly protecting, right?
I agree.
So, I think we have to roll with what's in place at this point because they've had 4 years to sort this out. If they were going to have independent people, which they're supposed to be, aren't there? Republicans and Democrats in each voting counting place. That should be enough. I would suggest maybe 1 marshal per, they might already have that, but 1 or 2 per centre, as opposed to having to walk through an armed gauntlet to vote.
Well, when the protests are going on, they literally designate, especially in Denver and here in Colorado Springs, but in Denver, they designate like 5 police officers that whole night to do that. And then they post like down the street, and they have their if something gets out of hand, but they never bother the protesters unless something goes bad. But they're always posted like a mile or so, or down the street, or something along that lines, just in case. I've seen that, so maybe that's what they'll do. That sounds about right.
And a viewer wrote to me saying, I think she lives, where's Mebane? I'm not pronouncing it right. Is it Oklahoma or somewhere?
Bangor?
Mebane, Mebane. Anyway, she went to early voting there, and the marshals were putting husbands and wives in the same booth.
No.
Yeah, she saw it. Okay, now, this is just a small backwater community. Now, what was that about? Was it about 2 people go into a voting booth and 1 vote comes out? Or is it husbands watching wives so the wife can't secretly vote for Kamala or something? Not good. Anyway, it was exposed very quickly within the day. You know what I mean? People said, this isn't right,
Yeah, that woman never gets to vote for herself. Like they're all worried that women, the wives, and secretly are voting for Kamala Harris when they all woohoo Trump Kamala. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
They're not stupid. Okay, so we have a second question here. This is from Granny B1 1961. Granny B 1961. Let me say that correctly. The question is, and I thought was a really good question. If we and the planet are ascending energetically, what happens to those who don't ascend?
So just read it again for me.
So if we, as a planet, everybody included, are ascending energetically, going to a higher vibration, what happens to those who don't ascend?
Yeah, I think this is a question for the ages. Now, the sociological answer. Now, look at the Vietnam War. There were huge protests for years about the Vietnam War, and people who protested were considered garbage and traitors, and families were split. They didn't want their sons, who were refusing to be conscripted, back in the house. All this drama. Right. And eventually, the older viewers may remember this, because in those days, most people in most countries only had one or two news sources. So it was on Walter Cronkite or something that was vastly symbolic in the US. There was a picture, black and white picture, of a 13-year-old Vietnamese girl running naked down the street covered in napalm.
Oh.
And that image reached into every lounge room in the US, in Australia, or in Canada, or in the UK. So that was the beginning of the end of the Vietnam War. Didn't stop the next day, but suddenly all the anti-war protesters who were being condemned over time, and then, 5 years later, 10 years later, everyone says, oh yeah, I was against the Vietnam War. No, you weren't.
Right.
No, you weren't. So it's a roundabout way of answering the question. The collective needs to ascend. That will in turn bring many people from the middle up. But there will be those who choose to stay on this really primitive plane.
Right.
And they will hang around. The idea is to outnumber them and not let them into public office.
Correct. I do think that they just kind of like go back to their little itty bitty lives and live out, but they just never gain any perspective of the world. And our bodies are something resilient. They're going to live, but what happens to the ones who don't? I'm pretty sure they get lost, just like any other culture. The ones, they just kind of go back into their closets, and it's just weird. Anyways, okay. I know, like, Sheila, you're talking nonsense again.
What, honey? This is important.
Very important. Okay.
Sorry, there's a comment here about what we were just talking about. Just a second until I find it again. People remember that picture I was talking about.
Oh.
Now I've lost it here. Oh, could it be that they will all ascend not at the same time? Possibly, but I think we have this. It's like the Christian idea of the rapture, right? So people genuinely believe they will be swept up from the highways and byways of the USA into the arms of Jesus. Therefore, you do not have to worry about climate change. You do not have to worry about anything in the future. Now, they're in their own version. They would describe themselves as the ascended ones.
Yes,
right?
They always do.
Right? And so I think there's always going to be this group of people who are so stuck in another paradigm, they maybe have to wait for their next round of the karmic cycle to behave differently.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, they're the one. What happens to them? They have to come back and redo it. Do it over.
Yep.
I don't plan on doing anything over that I've done this time. I'll come back and do new stuff, but I'm not doing things over.
Yeah.
I can't help it. Okay, so let's get to. Here's some pictures. There's some questions here. I've been really getting a lot of questions about P. Diddy. Now you know who P. Diddy is.
Yeah.
So I want to do they really want to know if Trump is involved in P. Diddy's stuff. Do we want to just do a blanket one or just kind of pass it up? Because P. Diddy is bad.
Yeah.
I won't deep dive into whatever it is that I can't do it. But they want to just know if there's a connection, if they're going to find a connection from Trump and his parties with P. Diddy.
Okay, let's have a look.
Okay.
I'll use my deviant moon deck because we're dealing with P. Diddy, whose energy is so bad.
It is just, I see him as a vacant soul. I've seen a few people on that their soul has deteriorated so badly that it is non-existent.
Oh, yeah, because it's one thing to have wild drug-fueled parties. It's another thing to, it's not as though these guys don't have opportunities for random sex at any point. It's not that they can't pay for it at any point. It's not about that.
No.
It's about the power of abuse. Yes. That is the buzz.
It is. It's awful.
Awesome. So we're looking at, is there a connection with Trump and
P. Diddy? Yeah.
Let's have a look here.
And whenever you're ready, go for it.
Okay. Oh. I think there is a woman who has some dirt on this. Trump's card has turned up, but I want to say, before I go any further, the uber wealthy hang together in all sorts of ways, right? But I think it's a generational thing. It's like Trump was, I think, considered by P. Diddy to be too old and too straight. He wasn't actually a draw card at the parties, but being a candidate and then a president gave him cachet. But I don't think it was him. I think it was more likely to be Don Jr., who circulated with P. Diddy because of that generational thing. I mean, Trump wouldn't be able to handle the music or anything. And this 9 of Wands here sort of defeated. I think this is other people who will be caught up in this, because there are a lot of younger movie stars and singers and stuff who aren't, hardline, sadistic, awful, debauched people. They're just high flyers. You get invited to a party at P. Diddy's, you'd go if you were in that set. And they're regretting it and they're worried.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I actually have some cards that are literal government cards. Like, they have a lot of imagery of the government. And I got the 8 of Cups. Sorry if you guys heard that. I got the 8 of Cups. The military, they're very interested in Trump and this P. Diddy thing. Like DOJ, you can see the military, the house back there. They're very interested in what's going on. I also got the 6 of Wands. And this is really interesting. With the 6 of Wands, there's the confetti, the army, the people.
Hello, we're online. Excuse me, I've just got Dave.
Okay.
It's 10 for you. Are you sure? Okay, here we go. Jump online, please.
Come on.
The personal delivery service.
Well, just to wrap this up real quick before he gets here, I do see the family and justice within the family. So when you said you think it's probably Junior, I'm like, oh, the 10 of Cups, the family. Family.
Yeah.
I think you are right. Probably Trump was probably not as interested as his sons were.
Yes. Duh. When you think about it. Yeah. He said he might have turned up, 4 hours before the party started for something. But anyway, I think it's much more likely to be the boys.
How gross. There he is.
Yay.
Hey, we're here.
How are you feeling?
If it was me, I've been texting you and carrying on.
Have you? Okay, I just got that last email. And of course, yeah. Being sick doesn't mean the world stops for you. You know what I mean?
No. We understood if you didn't show up, but I'm glad that you did.
Good. I'm glad I'm here too. All right. How do I look?
You look,
you look pretty good.
Handsome.
We've just been talking about P. Diddy's parties.
Talking about what?
P. Diddy's parties, if you want to do if you want to do a little thinking on it, well, what people are wanting to know, and we kind of came up with probably it's his children, but they wanted to know if P. Diddy and Trump were going to get connected at some point. But they are looking to it. I got the thing that they are looking. But what do you think? What do you?
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, So let's see.
Yeah, give us a think about it.
Yeah, we're live, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're live.
Okay, just give David a moment to settle in. So let's see. P. Diddy.
Poor guy, just put him right on the spot.
Okay, I'm seeing P. Diddy, and I'm seeing him sort of making this, trying to make this connection. Trump shakes his head no, but of course he's a liar. So do we believe that? Let's just see. So Spirit, is there a connection between Trump and P. Diddy? So let's see. Show me one more time, Spirit. If there's a connection, it won't be discovered, I think. I get like 2 lines like equals and then a cross through it. I think there is some connection, but I don't think it is obvious enough for people to find.
Yeah, well,
That's really interesting, because what I got was there was overlap in A-list land, but the generation gap didn't work for Trump. I mean, you know.
Yeah. I think there is that. I think that's exactly what that means. There is overlap, but because of little bit of the social in milieu, one's West Coast, one's East Coast. It just seems like it's not his decadent people are in New York. All the criminals he knows are in New York.
Yeah.
Well, P. Diddy at one point in time, I think when he was doing The Apprentice, he spoke up and says, "I love P. Diddy. He's my, I know him. He's my good friend." But that doesn't mean that he was attending his parties or anything. He could have just met him through.
And it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
He just wants that clickbait connection.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Anyways, while I'm looking for another thing, if you wanted to kind of introduce yourself a little, give a little synopsis of what you do, how to find you and stuff like that, while I look for another good question here. Those are the people that may or may not know you. I don't know who that could be, but you never know.
I'm Dave Thompson. Yeah, I channel and I do things like predict the political future. I do also past life regressions and lots of things like that. Just as a note, I've just been preparing some videos of my own just because of this weird interim time, right? That we're facing, like these 2 weeks before this election. Man, talk about just internal stress. I mean, we all know she's going to win. I don't think there's much question about her going to win, but there is just so much information out there that I am spending like every day, like meditating and kind of doing sort of praying. That's not the right word, but seeing a future that is politically expedient every day for like 15 minutes, like putting that out there. So one thing I do recommend, and I'll put a video again out on this topic, but if you're feeling stressed, everybody, even though we know she's going to win and you're still feeling stressed, and I mean, it's not just me. I'm talking to a lot of people who have medical problems because of the amount of stress.
And my advice too is late afternoon or early evening, light a candle for goodness and light and say, I am not worrying about this issue anymore tonight. Keep your nights as a sacred time for you to put positive things into the world. So you can worry about it at 10 in the morning over a coffee, but make sure you can park it, because worrying doesn't help anything.
It doesn't help any good whatsoever. Although, like I was telling Lena earlier, the pressure, I feel it. The pressure is here.
Oh, yeah.
And some people are acting out like a fool because they can't handle the pressure. They don't understand the feeling of the pressure. But I do. I can sit in my basement.
So much is riding on this.
Oh, everything.
And from the perspective of the rest of the world, we used to sort of laugh at American politics and so many things while being tied to it. Mm-hmm. We couldn't understand why people, after winning a baseball game or something, would all thank God and look to the sky and do. We used to, I mean, Australians are so whatever, blase. But everyone is worried globally, deeply worried, because this guy is such a loose cannon with known connections to all the dictators of the world. It would suddenly be horrendous. There would be nowhere that's unaffected. So we are all invested in this outcome.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and what do you think, you guys? If you sit in some meditation and you want to send a message to the universe, I feel like they're not supposed to intervene directly, but do you think it will maybe intervene indirectly if we all just give us a little space and time every night to seeing the positive outcome?
Look, I think it's so essential. And what's that? There's a saying, be part of the change you want to see.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? So it's very tempting for all of us in our own domestic spaces and stuff to point outside and what they're doing's wrong and what they're doing's terrible and what she's doing and he's doing. You can control your own world, and you have a responsibility, I think, at this critical time in Earth history to be part of the positive light.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you remember the feelings when Kamala first came on with the Democratic Convention? Do you remember how different it felt with that momentum? And so joy and positivity are contagious, just like fear and anger are contagious.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we need to be in that camp of light.
Absolutely. And I kind of challenge everybody who is in the chat today, and hello, all of my moderators. I know I saw a whole bunch of highs and stuff like that, but post a little, if you guys have your favorite little quote, just start posting your favorite little quote. Just get some nice, positive, uplifting thought process for everybody to kind of think about. Go ahead and do that. I encourage that. If you have a little, it doesn't matter what your little saying is. Mine is
what keeps you strong.
What keeps you strong? Favorite little sayings and things like that. There's so many of them out there. Now I have as I was walking through, and I am seeing a little theme in a lot of the questions. They really want to know how big the dust up is going to be after Kamala Harris wins. We all read that there's going to be a little dust up. There's going to be some stuff going on.
Yeah.
But everybody, that's what they're really worried about the most. But I want to know, see what you see. Now let's be honest. Is it going to be a big one? Is it going to be a small one? Which state do they're going to take over the country? Which one? Which one are you going to pick? Right?
Okay. So while we're shuffling, Dave, do you want to do your thing?
The word Oklahoma came up. That's the first thing that came up when you were speaking. And realize when we say dust up, that can mean a lot of things. I'm just going to see first, what I get for coming up to the election. And then maybe I'll just reflect on after. And coming up to, what do we get? A lot of people protesting. There are people standing with signs. And it's really kind of crazy. There are these people standing with signs, and then there's these cars that zoom past them on the street. And you get a feeling of just frenetic, just very frenetic, not actually danger, but I just seen some frenetic action. I'm getting that there have been threats to Kamala's life. That does not surprise me. and they're not talking about them. Right? Trump's using them to advertise, but as far as the Secret Service is concerned, we don't want to advertise that people are doing that to her.
Yeah,
per se.
I think that's probably wise.
That's really wise. So really, I think there's actually more dust up in the meantime than we actually know about. They're clamping, keeping quiet on some of it. Something is this seems important. Something is really crazy going on with the media, right? So, there are all these financial forces that are trying to manipulate the data, that are just trying to manipulate the surveys, manipulate people's opinions. And it's very deep and complex. And there's like a huge web of foreign powers and semi-foreign powers that are trying to financially manipulate this election like 2016. That seems like the most important dust up because it's going on in ways that we cannot see. And Biden has to keep this on the down low. Like he has to keep, to some degree, it can't be an open fight. There's complicated reasons why, but that's the battle that's going on. We're not seeing it as much as we could. I hope it did. We already talk about the polls and whether they're real or not? Did you guys already speak of that?
I don't even want to give it energy because it's just frustrating.
It's just frustrating.
There's so much manipulation. I mean, how in the heck can it be equal? However, how do you get people out to vote? Make it look like it's a game. Like, make it look like it's equal. How do you get people out to vote? If you say that the Democrats have it in the bag, how many Democrats are going to go, oh, I don't need to go vote now?
Exactly.
Yes. So it's not a bad thing necessarily.
Exactly. It's not a horrible thing. We've been it's even. It's 50-50. Well, how do you get people out to the game? It's got to be a game.
I do have to point this out, and we don't have to focus too much on this, but look, people are paying canvassers to go to these places and say, we talked to them and they're pro-Trump. These are people not in the Trump campaign. They are outsiders that are paid to do this. And there seems to be evidence that they're just they're using some app to say they went to the door.
Yes, and they haven't even knocked on the door.
Because here's the motivation. People like Republicans like a winner, and they will be more likely to go out and vote if they think that they are going to win. I don't think that's a Democrat thought. I think that's a Republican. Yeah. And number two, even if it doesn't work, then they could go look at these statistics. They stole the election. Yeah. And so I think there is, sports bet is totally skewing this. Yeah. They can't possibly be 70-30, but that's what they're presenting it as, which means somebody is pumping tons of money. They're wasting who knows how many billions of dollars just to fake it so that they can, they still have a strategy even when they lose. Oh, it was stolen. So I don't think that we can trust that. But that's the kind of manipulation I'm talking about. And maybe we'll just stick to pre-election so I don't go on for 20 minutes.
What did you get, Lena?
Well, dust up after the event. So what I got was people will still defend their position regardless. Married to the Emperor, symbolically, this is deep rusted on MAGA. Okay, so in other words, everything he says is gospel. Now, we all know this man is failing and flailing, and it has to be harder and harder to think he's my guy. I really want this gibbering idiot to be my president, but they don't care because they have seriously drunk the Kool-Aid. But they are not more than 20 or 25% max. I don't think we're going to see mass violence at all. I think a compromise will be reached behind the scenes with law enforcement and with looking after poll workers, etc., etc. It will then, I think, move online. My Twitter birds here with this Page of Swords. There'll be online flurries and it'll end up in the courts, as we've been expecting all along, to have to put it to bed, these various challenges, that will occur. So I think there will be legal repercussions. But I just want to say, I was in New York while he was at his trial, and I was literally as close as you could get to the courthouse, where he was saying tens of thousands of people are being held back. Well, that was me and my mate. Right. They're not responding to the call in the same way they did 4 years ago when he was the sitting president. Different energy, different dynamic. He's now just a losing candidate when he loses on the game. What did you get, Sheila?
Well, I did get that the Emperor is going to throw some stuff, like under the star. I got the Emperor is going to throw some fear. He's going to throw the I am the star. I'm the winner, right? As he always does. And then we're going to have some, when I got the Ace of Cups, there's going to be some high energy here. And there's going to be some heartbreak. These Republicans who have been in an echo chamber with blinders on, they do not see anybody other than people that are voting for Trump. So they really think that their little town is going to win the election for Trump because that's all they see. However, we do have the King of Pentacles coming in with strength. Now, the King of Pentacles here, I think, represents like law. They're going to be hitting the feet. They're going to be the ground. The law is going to be there. The King of Pentacles, the people we pay to protect this country are going to have strength in numbers there. And I also see that this is going to, the dust up is going to go quickly. And the world shows up like successful, like it's going to go quickly, like round it up. It's that completion. It's like this huge, like 2 or 3 days. We're going to hear there's a problem here, there's a problem there. The police come in, stomp it out, and then we all go, phew.
I'm getting like a 3-day delay. Like something going to be a delay.
Yeah.
Right. And it is going to be all that legal wrangling. And to some degree, I mean, I'd want to recount. If it's not Harris, I would want one too.
Well, there is Rose Blue. She's been trying to get a hold of get my attention. I see you, girl. She really wants to know about the recount in Texas for Harris because Texas is so close to being blue. It's scary to even think about it because, we're like, come on, Texas?
Yeah.
See, the thing about Trump he was the sitting president and he had more money. He has to pay for a recount.
But looking at his track record, he would say, I'll pay for it. They'll do it. And then they'll go, where's the money? And then
you have to pay for it first before they do it.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. Now Elon Musk might foot the bill on that. Who knows? But he had, just like in Georgia last time, they were waiting for him. He had like a period of time that he had to make that payment so that they would do a recount in Georgia. If not, they weren't going to do it. Okay. So
recount in Texas, I'd pay for it.
Yeah. So how about this? Let's read and see how blue Texas might go. Let's have
a look at Texas. What's happening in Texas?
What's happening energetically. Go ahead, Dave. If you see something, go for it, hon.
Ooh, man, does it look close?
Yeah.
Just see. Okay, so I'm seeing like a blue flag this way and a red flag this way. It's like, they're going to get together. So spirit, is that blue or red? I'm going to just say, I think it's going to be red, but it's going to be so narrow as to almost have no color. Like it is like they're coming together it's so close. It's like a pinstripe red. So I think that they will win, but I'm saying that only about the presidency. I think that there's other factors in play, like the senators. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my vibe too, I have to say. I'm quite optimistic with Florida. Okay. But with Texas, we saw with Beto O'Rourke and stealing, right? It is so close in Texas that they're going to have to demonstrably steal it, which is another question for another day. Will they get sprung for it? But this close, with money coming forward, there could be a recount in Texas with this, and younger people's vote is going to go much more blue here. But the sun is going to shine on Texas. I'm going to say Texas 2028 here with this. But also, as you were both saying, it's shifting. You can feel the vibe shifting. They're not getting away with their old shtick like they used to. And so someone like Cruz could be toppled by Allred. So I think Texas down ballot is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, that's my feel too.
Very interesting. I get the end of a lot of Republicans walking away. I like get death and them walking away from the stuff. So does that mean it's gonna go blue, like woo blue? I think that a lot of Republicans are just gonna go like, you know what? Let them fight it out. I'm over it. Like, I'm not gonna go vote. So they're gonna have apathy and walking away from the polls, walking away from the whole situation. I also the kings, the leaders in that state have some self-imposed problems that the Texas people just like, we saw how you are, we know who you are now. Right. So Texas, and there's one thing about Texas, my family's from Texas. My mother was born in Amarillo, my father, my two older sisters, all of my extended family from my parents are from Texas. So I've been there a lot. There's one thing I know about Texans is once they get burned, they don't give you another chance. And I'm waiting for that to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can feel it's close because they've had such terrible leadership, lazy, corrupt leadership. Yeah. Because everyone will just vote Republican next time. Those days are over. And if any Texan viewers are out there, more reason to vote. It has to be made really clear, and you can still have an impact in every way. It's so important, ultra important to vote in Texas.
So here's the best part about all of this is I see celebration and I see new leaders coming blue. Now, does Texas and as a whole go to the GOP? Probably, but they're going to sprinkle in some blue leaders coming out of Texas.
Yes, and they're going to really make a difference.
At least 3. I feel 3 leaders. Probably Ted Cruz is going down. Probably, whoever, whatever. But there's going to be at least 3 major differences going blue. Maybe in their own state of the Senate or something like that. Anyways, I do see that they're moving towards it. They're making big moves in Texas.
And also the governor's race comes up in 2 years or something. So if it's really close and people get a taste for it and then they get a chance to get a new governor, because governors are hugely powerful, in a couple of years, I think that's going to be the nail in the coffin. Isn't Jasmine Crockett Texas?
Yes, Jasmine, she's Texas. They're going to keep her. I don't think she's going anywhere.
No, I don't think she's up, but wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I just want to say thank you. I think it's Sybil and maybe Anna Liv. I'm so terrible with things, but I appreciate the donation. Thank you. Everybody who has donated, thank you. Or tip, or whatever it's called, chatted, whatever. Anyway, Sheila gets off here some days, but anyways, I'll come back. All right, so now that we have done Texas, let's go to Florida.
Sure.
Let's go to Florida. Now, I have gotten people saying that Florida is going to be like, it's like so much blue. We here at the Ground Zero, we're watching on the news about Florida, about the elderly community who are driving their little golf cart things to the ballot boxes with Kamala Harris signs all over them. I mean, like thousands of them from little communities and stuff, which that did not happen with Trump.
No, it didn't.
You know what I mean? So Florida is talking more blue than they are red right now, but that doesn't guarantee it. But what do you guys see?
Let's
take a look here. What about Florida, Spirit?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I'm seeing a happy Kamala Harris with her sword of justice there. I'm seeing really happy Kamala. Yeah, what else can we know, Spirit, about this? About Florida? I'm seeing a big difference between the southern part of Florida and the northern part of Florida. I didn't know that there's any distinction there, but it seems like one is much more blue and one's much more red. I'd say, yeah. So let's ask just in a different way. Again, I'm seeing a really happy Kamala, and then I'm seeing her on the phone. Okay, she texts like this, and it's like, "Hey, I'm the winner. Wow, I took Florida." That's what I'm totally surprised. I thought there's no way that she would take Florida, but I have a feeling that the nature, the great feminine, stepped in with a couple of hurricanes and let people know how much we need each other, right? And we can't all be selfish all the time. Let's see if there's anything else on this, because I can't believe it. I mean, me, logical Dave, is like, really? So, Kamala, you gonna win? Yeah, I think you're right. I think that she'll get it. I'm shocked.
Well, interesting. I think. Sorry, are you finished, Dave? Yeah. Okay. Look what I get too. Celebration. Right. Celebration. Again, the youth vote. The Six of Cups has now become my youth vote in these readings. Is pushing her over the line. They're sick of the government they've got. They're sick of DeSantis and the others because they've got, a lot of those hideous guys, Matt Gaetz, Florida. Yeah. But before I get to my last card, I think you're right, Dave, because there's southern Florida, but then it goes right up into the panhandle, and it becomes redder and redder as it goes up.
Okay.
This is karmic for Florida. This is karmic. And I think you have the snowbirders, so they're quite affluent people from New York, Chicago, and other cold places go there. They vote Democrats all their life. Then they vote Republican in the state election so they can get tax breaks, right? But I think even they realize this is more important. It's a turning point. What did you get, Sheila?
Well, I got that the older generation, the wealthy, gluttonous older generation, is. I got death of the poison. The realization of the poison that is going on about wealth and everything like that. They got the Ace of Pentacles with the new financial. They're literally watching the money. They're watching the destruction. They're watching the corruption, and they're gonna give the GOP a little problem. They're fighting against it. I do see new. I get the Fool with the the new beginning, the new idea, the new. I would never have guessed it. I'm telling you, I won't believe see it. My cards have been saying it's going blue for the longest time. I am a reluctant psychic that says, I don't know.
Well, we all got the same conclusion. What a revelation. And again,
Yeah.
I was not expecting this. I would have thought Texas before Florida. But I think weather really made a difference. And I shouldn't say weather, climate change made a difference.
Yeah, well, they haven't recovered from the last 3 hurricanes. Nevertheless, the last 2 that just hit them, you know, they have been they've watched all of the people there's just trash everywhere when in the same path. They just haven't. It's like slow going. And then they asked DeSantis if they could postpone or give it another week or 2 for everybody to register to vote, and he's all like, no, he wouldn't even
he's such a jerk off, isn't he?
He is.
Yeah.
He's horrible.
And that might have been a serious mistake. Because
Yeah.
Republicans usually vote on the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Or register. Yeah. That's all. They wanted extra time to register to vote.
And in that week, Trump has just made the biggest fool out of himself. If you go and you see him trying to talk to Hispanics, I think it's great that some people have voted already, but some haven't, because those who are on the border, if anyone looks at anything Trump says, he's a rambling maniac. Right.
But they're going hard with the misinformation. So a North Carolina guy was interviewed, who are you going to vote for, in the aftermath of the cleanup in North Carolina? He said, well, the only person who came down to help us was Donald Trump. He waded into the floodwaters and he saved people and he saved dogs. He'd seen this AI footage. Can you imagine Trump getting his toes wet? Can you imagine?
Saving a dog.
Saving a dog, right? He's never patted a dog, let alone up to his waist in floodwaters.
Yes.
So it's still out there. The misinformation is still out there, but it's simply a numbers game. They're seeing it. And if you're a MAGA file and FEMA are coming down, and they've been attacked too. FEMA people have been attacked by MAGAs because, but there's going to be, of any 100 people in that stress situation, I think over half would have to wake up, wouldn't you? Who's actually there to help you?
I agree. I think most people, we have the outliers as usual. Thank you, Spirit Whisperer. Thank you. I appreciate that. Long-time subscriber and a fan. Hugs and blessings. And I just wanted to also mention that we have at least 1,200 people in the chat today.
Oh, that's so cool.
Wow. Thank you. Actually, I have here that I have 1,600 actually is the number I see on my screen. So YouTube's not counting as many people as we actually have, which is 1,600, which is fantastic.
Wow. Fantastic.
So much for all the donations and stuff. I want to shift to Clarence Fields' question. He has a really good question too, because we have all been worried kind of about Georgia. Georgia went to Biden last time, but as usual, the polls are like, Trump is up in Georgia, that fake stuff that comes out. But what do we think and what do we feel about Georgia staying blue? Let's see, give it a good go on that.
Georgia. Okay. I'm getting that same flag thing. And I did start out with blue, but it's really, really, really light. So Spirit, cool.
Georgia.
I'm not feeling so good about Georgia for Kamala. Now, and I literally see Kamala, she just looks disappointed. I think there's some bright spots in Georgia, but it's not they don't necessarily go for her for president. Can you show me one other way, Spirit? Yeah, I see a Kamala that's somewhat disappointed. I don't think it's by much, though. Feel free to contradict me.
Okay, so it's like the Texas situation in that sense. But what I've got here, the death card, followed by the Six of Swords. But who's moving away? Right? In
Right.
this sense. I do get celebration and I do get judgment. So it might be a recount in Georgia. So it might be that she just loses and there is a recount. It could be a possibility. I hope it's not just wishful thinking on my part.
Right. What do you think?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm. Or it could be she could think, like you say, on the phone, I won Georgia, and it could be a recount the other way. But
right. So yeah. So I'm just going to sink in again, but feel free. Again, I hope you'll contradict me.
I do.
Yeah, it's important to do with it. But my feel was the first one. Yeah.
I do feel Georgia blue. So I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
There's only one reason why I think that a lot of times that people are really anxious about it is because it's the roller coaster of up and down in Georgia. Like this, that. That's what we're seeing. I think that's what we're feeling. And I got the hamster wheel and the roller coaster. Like they are so confused down there because of what they're being told, what they're being shown. I mean, they literally some most confused people. Like Trump's, his trial. How come that win? Then they went after what's her face, and then they went out. They're just crazed at this point in time. They feel very threatened for some reason. Like pop-up threats are going on. Like here's something that I have said a while back, a long time ago when in 2020. Okay, so they like Texas and all of them wanted to succeed from the United States a long time ago. And what they wanted was from Texas to Louisiana, to Mississippi, to Georgia, to North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, all of those. They literally wanted all of them to be red so that when they say we're breaking off, they can become their own succeeding. That has been a plan that I have heard a long time ago, long even before Trump even said anything. Because of my family being from Texas, they have talked about this many a times. That's a reason why they are going after Georgia like no other. They need Georgia in their plan. They were very upset that Georgia went blue. They can't if Georgia goes blue, then they can't convince everybody that lives in that state to go with their plan. But if it goes red, they have enough people to go with their plan. Good to go.
Yeah.
Fight for it.
Yeah.
So they're being threatened. There's some pop-up threats. Like people are really being threatened. The reason why I say I still see it's blue, the anxiety gets crushed. Okay? The anxiety gets crushed and people start going out and voting, and the negotiator in their mind or in their thing, it comes out, the negotiations about it, and then the final one is the remaining. They're recalling the reason why they went blue from the get-go.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, long story short, Georgia is being hit unbelievably hard with disinformation and chaos and threats.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anybody that lives in Georgia can confirm that, what I feel and what all is going on, please post it, because I just wanted to get down there and tell them it's not real, guys. Lay out. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It really is okay. But that's what. So, anyways, I hope that helps, Clarence, or not. I don't know. Did it help? So, anyways, any more thoughts about Georgia?
Well, I'm kind of like tending towards Lena's reading. Maybe it is somewhat ambiguous. Maybe she initially appears to lose, and that's the tier that I'm seeing. And then she goes ahead and wins. Because as I look now, she's kind of, it's less clear that she would lose, I would say. It's just as I'm seeing it, I still see that tier, but I do see a post-tier experience where her face is more neutral. So I think I'm not even sure this is decided. I'm not even sure we know the future yet. I think it's going to be really, really close. And that just, that's pretty
Well,
predictable.
right now the energy beat could be on that other roller coaster where it's red facing. You know what I'm saying? Something along those lines. Yeah, it's just something. It's just something that it kind of gotten to me a long time ago when I was living in Maryland. I heard about these type of stories because they really wanted all of the red states to just break off, become their own government. They've always wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, look, I grew up in Queensland, the Texas of Australia. Every 5 years, we've got to secede from the rest of Australia.
Yeah,
like
everybody
really.
break off something.
How well did that work out in 1861?
Well, yes.
Speaking of people who broke off from the mainland, let's go to North Korea.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Speaking of the people who did that, so the North Korean soldiers, how are they doing in Russia? Now, I'm not going to give any huge backstory because I don't want to skew the thought process, but I want to see what you guys come up with of how they're doing in Russia as fighting for Russia.
Even as you're asking the question, I saw a shield. I saw this kind of very antique-looking sort of shield, and I just feel like that's the first impression that I got is these are the equipment they have is archaic. They are hungry people. I mean, if you weigh a North Korean soldier, they have the weight of a teenager. They're not well fed. They're fighting for something they don't really believe in. I do not think that they will be a very effective fighting force. So they don't believe in what they're doing. They're just hired guns.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think they're the sacrifice here. This is my third interpretation of the hangman. The willing sacrifice in the sense they're paid soldiers and they're paid so badly in their home country, and I'm sure they're paid badly by Russia, but it might represent still an economic step up. So there's going to be no shortage of them. But their work with the high priestess is very secretive. They're paid for, well, Putin is the ultimate oligarch who doesn't care about battlefield deaths. And I get the death card. So I think there's already been 9 or 10 deaths and they've only been there 5 minutes, like God knows what's really going on. But I think the death toll is going to be very high amongst that group because they'll be dealing with equipment they're not familiar with, but also language. When you're in battle and you can't understand someone shouting at you in Russian or something else, get your head down, take cover, do this, boom. Right? So I think language is going to contribute to deaths of North Korean soldiers, just not understanding what the strategic instructions are, being hung out to dry.
Yeah. Battles they're all communications.
All around communications, but the sacrifice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, everybody, you guys are so on point about this. This is exactly how I felt about it. These are little itty bitty men, little tiny men going in. They're not big. That is due to the lack of nutrition. That is due to all of that. The whole species of North Korea now. I don't know if that's the right way of putting it, but they're very tiny. So I see a bounty hunter, but unconditional. It's almost like either the Ukraine men or the Russian men have compassion for these guys.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. I didn't think that would come up, but they're having a little passion for them.
Yeah.
A lot of them that have unplugged and left. They're plugged in and then they pop up and they're unplugging and they're leaving. They're defecting. They're leaving. They're not going to fight. They see it as freedom. And I was talking about this with Linda G yesterday, that they see it as a possible opportunity for freedom. Kim Jong-un is going to lose control over his people that he is sending because he can't get them back. This is going to be the breach and the take it down of his whole regime by doing this with Putin, because he's sending so many men that he can't afford to send.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be ironic for the
Yeah.
end of North Korea's regime?
Yep. Literally, I have a magnet. Everybody's drawn to these men, but they're like a nightlife. That they're like a comic thing to them. They're cruel. You know, the men in the army for Russia. You know, they're not nice people either. But so they're making fun of them. They're not. You know, they have compassion for them because they're so tiny, and they're probably not making any big difference whatsoever. But at least those men are, and if they run far enough into Ukraine and get lost in the wilderness, they are free men.
Mm-hmm. Just a suggestion.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it's
the ones that have their families back in North Korea, but they probably already know they're probably dead anyway because that's how they do it.
Right. Yeah.
There's probably no saving them anyway. But anyways, that's kind of what I got with the North Korean, how they're doing. Any more thoughts about that? Anything?
Just not a unified fighting force. They may have they may have more compassion for each other than for the actual cause that they're. What are they doing there? I mean, these guys aren't even Russian. So why are we fighting this war with these people that aren't even?
But all the world's wars now are being fought by private armies and other things. This is not a new idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, mercenaries have always been around, but now more so in the last 15 or 20 years. Remember Halliburton and Blackwater and Eric Prince and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So they are fighting as we speak in Yemen and all through complicated African conflicts and all sorts of stuff that our gaze is turned away from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very much.
All right. Sorry, guys, I have to go.
I know we have a few more minutes. I was just going to close it up. I said, unfortunately, we've been on for a little bit past an hour. We appreciate everybody here.
I'm so sorry. And I have to apologize too to everyone because it was my fault Dave was late. Sorry.
Your fault.
Mea culpa. So sorry. I've got to go and answer the door.
Yes.
Ciao, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Lena. Thank you.
Great to be on live.
Yes. We had 1,700 people in here.
Wow, terrific. Did you want to ask one more question or just call it a day?
I just wanted to have you, since it was just you and I, and Lena had to go do what she has to do. So I would love for you to give us an ending spirit message for the United States and for this election that is coming up. Everybody take a deep breath. Enjoy this message from Spirit, from Dave. So yeah, take it over. Go for it, hon.
And I am going to take it in this direction, which is like, let's do be in contact with Spirit. Let's do be in contact with Spirit and say, make it all right. This is not asking for someone else per se. This is more getting in alignment with the future that we want. I think it's very important as we do this to see it as all positive. Don't go to anger. Don't go to any kind of punishment. When we win this thing, do not gloat, because that's not really what Spirit likes. Be righteous. And by that, I mean fair with the self. Let's take a look then at who shows up. All right, I'm seeing the light here. I'm going up a flight of stairs. So a Native American woman who has her hair back in braids. She feels very much like a divine feminine, spirit of America. I should say the Americas. That's probably fairer. She seems like she does not have borders. All right. I know that her name starts with an A. Alethea, Athena, something like that. She shows me herself eating corn. So she might be associated with the horn woman goddess. She's very graceful, very beautiful, and very just simply powerful. Let's just see. And show me something? Yeah, okay. I always ask Spirit to show me something before I channel it to make sure it is indeed from the light. I like what I've been shown, so we will have her speak through me. Now is not the time to worry. It is not the time to go to stress. Now is the time to feel a graceful sense of your own power. And sit in meditation, and this does not have to take any form. Just sit in meditation. If you are able to go to nature or look at nature or even have a flower, that will be helpful for you. But this is really about you getting in touch. Notice the positives. Notice that through all of this work, all of the terrible times, we have all learned, we have become more intuitive. Now is the time to connect to the light. Sit with your own connection. It will be different for everybody, but sit with the connection. And just see it. See the good government that you want, the good outcome that you want, the new earth. It is important. It does make a bit of difference if many, many people working with the light at the same time focus it. It lets Spirit know that we are ready, that we will execute, that we are worthy, that we will do things that are needed to make a better society. Sit again. Do not be attached to the outcome you wish for. That is, perhaps good government will happen this year or next year or in 20 years. It is of no real consequence. We know that it's difficult for you to feel this. That is difficult not to feel that this moment is the only moment. But it is important to let it go. If you see the outcome without putting in any details, it helps, because the positive outcome will not happen in the way that you think. Sit in alignment with it. Accept to some degree that there is a greater plan that will work out just fine. See yourself in that kind of alignment with a good government, with a society that is moving forward. Just picture yourself in that place, and do not hesitate to go for the personal. See yourself in that better place, having more enjoyment, being more connected with others, being more intuitive. See yourself evolving in these ways. See yourself in a state of success. Imagine the celebration that will happen once you say, yes, we did it. Again, we're not going to put a particular day or time on this. We don't know what will happen or what will change in the next 2 weeks or after. Part of this is indeed about trust. It is helpful to trust that the universe will know what it's doing, because it does. Again, see the celebration. It is also helpful if you forgive those who you might feel have gone astray. In this moment, do not spend any time condemning others. If you see some time understanding others and why they have gone in this direction, it will be helpful, because that is part of what we are supposed to learn. Accept that this light is real. And now, as you accept the light, bring it into yourself and ground it into the earth. See the light, bring the light, and fit the light into the earth as much as you feel comfortable with. This will make a difference first of all, with you. And that is the most important difference. This is one thing that you will absolutely have control over. Whatever happens is going to happen. It may be necessary that things don't go in a straight line, that they are zigzaggy, and we would inform you that this is possible. Things may come about that are completely unexpected because that is how spirit works. But see yourself again in the success of your life with your people, dancing and celebrating together in a moment of freedom, kindness, and love. Continue to do this just for a moment or two every day. It will help to shift. First of all, it will shift you, and then it will shift the light. It's a message to let the universe know we are ready. We are ready. We are ready to move on in our consciousness. We're going to leave the grievances, the battles, to some degree, behind. Trust in yourself. Everything will be okay if you trust in yourself and trust that the place that you are in is exactly where you should be. This does not mean the things that are happening around you are just. It might be that we need to face injustice, all of us, you and spirit, in order to move on. We would say to you again, everything will be all right in the end. Do your best to focus in this way, because it will prevent you from worrying. It will be better for your body and your soul. See the light. It is always there. It's just a question of connecting with it and working with it in a way that you find appealing. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you, Dave. That was wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I just wanted to say I just hit 23,000 just as we were live. So thank you for that. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I hope you like it here, and go to Dave Johnson's page. Also subscribe there. He also offers readings. What are your readings that you offer? Because there's a lot of people that really benefit from his readings.
Well, the readings that I have done in the past, I'm doing somewhat less on are predictive readings, right? And there would be all the things that you would do when you want to predict things. Also connects you with mediumship and those who have passed, and I still do those. But I am moving a little bit more towards the channeling, just like what you've just seen. So I will get a guide and just channel for them. I usually don't necessarily even remember what I have said for the client. And that is also available, and there's no price difference between those two things. Sometimes one bleeds into the other. Sometimes people show up with one and they wind up wanting the other. But along those lines, I also do past life regressions, which I truly enjoy. It is you, the client, and me channeling at the same time. And boy, you could just ask Sheila about the cool stuff that shows up.
Been there, done that.
In your past lives is really, really awesome. There are a few other things that I do, but those are the main ones. It doesn't necessarily go exactly on a straight line when you sign up for something, although past life regression is reasonably straightforward.
This is true. That is true. Yes, so thank you. And I know that Lena also offers readings and stuff like that, and you can go onto her page to find out how to get that. And on mine, there is a link that is usually connected to my last two videos. I'll post the link that you can go in and you can schedule your own reading with me as well. I've also added something. Wow. Request. So a lot of people are like, can you teach remote viewing? I was like, well, you either have it or you don't, kind of a thing, remote viewing. But I have offering where you can come in and I will do an exercise with you and kind of get focused on the feeling of the information. Because as you know, with David, you can contest to this, spirit information comes to us differently. It doesn't come through like what you think. It's like a totally different channel, and you know it when you feel it and when you get used to experiencing that channel. So all of the other senses, and then there's a spirit communication sense that we have all realized and found out. And I just want to get anybody that is interested in getting that feeling, showing you where it is, where it's coming from, and do an exercise of remote viewing with them, and it usually works. So
Right on, Sheila.
so you can do that. You can schedule that with me as well, with other readings as you want. So yes, everybody, thank you so much. Please give a thumbs up on your way out. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Join us even after Kamala Harris wins. We're going to be reading on how many years Trump is going to get in prison. You know, we have a lot to do.
Yes. There's plenty of material.
Plenty of material. Keep your spirits high, keep your vibrations high, and let's get over the finish line for sure. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching.
Yep, bye.
Okay. All done?
I don't know yet. Oh, we got this one.